That's exactly what it is, an immune system.
But, implementing that kind of localized behavioral immune system requires complete control over the environment the agents operate in, doesn't it?
Yes, deep control.
You need deep structural integration between the hardware, the operating system, and the network layer to monitor that behavior accurately, which I think explains why the major tech giants are currently engaged in a brutal trillion-dollar scramble to own the underlying infrastructure of the agentic era.
And that brings us to the enterprise battlefield.
Yes, let's talk about this because this is where the macroeconomic shifts become really visible.
If trust is the only moat, the most valuable real estate in the tech industry is no longer the AI model itself.
Really? But everyone is obsessed with the models right now.
I know, but the models are becoming commoditized. Everyone has access to a brilliant VLM. The real value is owning the secure enclave where those models operate.
And we are seeing a shocking strategic maneuver from Apple that completely reframes how we should look at their role in the enterprise.
It's a huge pivot.
Because for the last 20 years, when you thought of corporate IT infrastructure, you thought of Microsoft and Google. Apple was the consumer device company. Sure, executives loved their MacBooks, and high-end creative professionals used the Mac Pro.
Right, that massive $6,000, beautifully engineered metal tower.
Yeah, for video editing and 3D rendering, but Apple didn't own the back end of the office.
They owned the consumer endpoint, but they ceded the enterprise infrastructure to Microsoft and Google.
But recently, the document highlights that Apple made a quiet but profound move. They are effectively deprecating and discontinuing the Mac Pro hardware line as we know it.
They are walking away from the ultra-high-end, raw compute hardware market entirely.
But why? So Apple is basically saying, we don't care about selling you a low-volume $6,000 metal box anymore. We want to own the entire digital office that you and your new AI agents live in. Why would they abandon their most powerful machine right when AI requires massive compute power?
Because they realize the compute power for agentic AI isn't going to live in a metal box under a video editor's desk.
It's moving to the cloud.
Exactly. The heavy lifting is in the cloud.
Yeah.
What matters isn't the raw processing power of the local machine. What matters is the security of the endpoint that connects to the cloud.
Right.
So Apple isn't retreating, they are pivoting.
They are launching a suite called Apple Business.
Yes.
Okay, Apple Business. What does that actually mean? Because if they are launching a hosted email, robust device management, and enterprise identity infrastructure, they aren't just selling laptops anymore.
Not at all.
They are stepping directly into the ring with Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace.
It is a massive ecosystem play, and it is entirely predicated on the security crisis we just discussed.
How does security play into it?
Well, for a decade, Apple has relentlessly hammered one core brand message, privacy and security. They have built an incredibly tightly integrated, closed ecosystem.
Right, the walled garden.
And crucially, the silicon on an iPhone or a Mac has a physical chip called the Secure Enclave, which isolates cryptographic keys from the rest of the operating system.
So even if the main operating system gets compromised by malware, the physical chip holding the biometric data and the foundational identity keys remains completely secure.
Exactly. Now, project that hardware-level trust into the agentic era.
Oh, I see.
Corporate IT departments are currently terrified. Their Microsoft and Google environments are porous. Their users are generating insecure vibe-coded apps, and tokens are being hijacked via supply chain attacks left and right.
It's a nightmare for a CIO.
So Apple walks into the CIO's office and says, "The era of the open, fragmented network is over. The only way to secure your fleet of AI agents is to anchor their identity to a physical, unhackable piece of silicon."
Move your entire corporate infrastructure to Apple Business.
Right. We will seamlessly bridge the hardware trust of the secure enclave to the cloud tokens your agents use. We provide the only secure bunker in the neighborhood.
Wait, if Apple is doing hosted email and identity, they're going after Active Directory and Exchange.
They are.
Exchange is the absolute bedrock of corporate IT. You don't just pivot into replacing the Microsoft monopoly without a monumental wedge.
And security is that wedge.
Sure.
Microsoft has the enterprise graph. Google has the collaborative data, but neither of them controls the physical endpoint silicon with the absolute authority that Apple does.
So hardware trust dictates software choices.
Apple is betting that in a world where software identity is broken, hardware trust will dictate enterprise software choices. They are transitioning from low-volume, high-margin professional hardware to high-volume, massive-margin recurring enterprise services.
They are weaponizing their reputation for security to steal market share precisely when businesses are most vulnerable.
It's a brilliant, aggressive move.
It totally changes how you look at a MacBook or an iPad. They aren't just consumption devices or creative tools anymore. They are the physical anchors, the hardened access points for a cloud-based fleet of autonomous workers.
That's exactly what they are now.
Okay, let's bring this all the way back down to earth. We've unpacked the high-level architecture of vision models. We've debated the terrifying reality of vibe coding and token hijacking. And we've mapped out the trillion-dollar war between Apple, Microsoft, and Google.
It's a lot of theory.
It is. But what does this actually mean for you, the listener? If you are sitting at your desk on a Tuesday morning trying to grow a project, launch a product, or run a small business, how does the agentic era change your reality today?
Well, the macro trends we talked about are tectonic, but the micro impact is incredibly immediate for the individual worker.
How so?
The deployment of these agents is already causing severe economic compression in knowledge work sectors. Tasks that previously required coordination between multiple specialized humans over several weeks are now being executed by agents in minutes.
And at a fraction of the cost,
Yes,
obviously.
the most stark example of this happening right now, highlighted in the sources, is in the marketing industry, with the rise of what is being called the AI CMO.
The AI CMO, Chief Marketing Officer in a Box. I know traditional marketing agencies are currently feeling an immense squeeze from this. Let's look at the mechanics of why that is happening.
Let's compare the legacy model to the agentic model.
Okay, so if you look at new tools like Okara or Claude Cowork, they aren't just writing blog posts anymore, are they?
No, they are executing full-stack growth strategies. Think about the traditional playbook. If a mid-sized B2B software company wants to run a comprehensive customer acquisition campaign on LinkedIn, they hire an agency.
Right.
That agency puts a team on a retainer. A junior researcher spends 40 hours manually crawling LinkedIn, reading competitor posts, and compiling a spreadsheet of trending topics.
Yet a copywriter spends another week analyzing that spreadsheet to draft a dozen posts.
A graphic designer spends 3 days creating visual carousels in Illustrator. Finally, an ad manager configures the targeting parameters and deploys the campaign.
It is a slow, deeply human orchestration loop. And you are paying for the overhead, the meetings, the revisions. That's a $15,000 monthly retainer just to get a campaign off the ground.
Exactly. Now observe the agentic playbook using an AI CMO tool.
Walk us through it.
The solo founder, or the single internal marketer, logs into the platform. They issue one natural language prompt, analyze the content strategy of our top 3 competitors on LinkedIn, identify the highest converting themes, and launch a counter campaign targeting VP-level decision makers in the logistics sector.
One prompt, and the agent just executes the entire stack.
Autonomously. The agent spins up headless browsers. It crawls thousands of competitor posts, parses the engagement metrics, and synthesizes the data to find the white space in the market.
It does that in what days?
It does this in 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
And without pausing for approval, the agent generates the copy tailored to that specific VP-level persona. It hooks into a vibe coding visual generator to create the graphical carousels. It configures the ad platform APIs and sets the budget parameters.
So what does the human actually do?
The human marketer receives a notification, campaign drafted, review and approve. They click yes, and the campaign goes live.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This is the ultimate democratizer. It's like everyone suddenly gets an entire head of growth embedded directly into their toolkit.
It is. The reduction in friction is staggering. The data we are seeing shows that marketers utilizing these autonomous loops are driving their customer acquisition costs, their cost per lead, or CPL, to below $10.
Below $10 in B2B SaaS is practically unheard of in traditional agency models.
It's revolutionary.
But here is where I have to wrestle with the implications of this, though. Because on the surface, yes, this looks like the ultimate democratizer. A 2-person startup suddenly has the exact same executional firepower as a Fortune 500 company with a 50-person marketing department.
It levels the playing field entirely.
But if everyone has access to the exact same AI CMO, and everyone can drive their CPL down to $10, doesn't that just trigger an immediate race to the bottom?
That is the big question.
Right. If Okara is optimizing my campaign against my competitor's campaign, and my competitor is also using Okara, it's just 2 AI agents fighting each other in a closed loop flooding the market with identical, perfectly optimized carousels until the consumer tunes it all out entirely.
That is the most critical realization you can have about the agentic era. You are entirely correct. Execution is becoming a commodity.
A commodity.
The ability to generate a perfectly optimized marketing campaign, or a flawless piece of code, or a beautiful vibe-designed app will no longer differentiate you in the marketplace. When the cost of execution drops to zero, the value of execution drops to zero.
So what retains value? If the AI can do the how and the what perfectly, what is the premium human skill?
The premium skill is the why. AI did not kill product intuition.
Let's expand on that. Product intuition, empathy.
An AI agent can analyze 1 million LinkedIn posts and tell you exactly what format generates the most clicks. It can write a beautifully persuasive sentence, but it fundamentally lacks human empathy.
It doesn't actually feel anything.
Right. It does not possess a visceral understanding of human desire, of status anxiety, of physical pain points, or of the subtle cultural shifts that dictate what people actually care about.
It can mimic it, but it doesn't know it.
Exactly. It cannot invent a novel value proposition that resonates with the human soul.
So if your product is terrible, or if it solves a problem that no one actually cares about, the AI CMO isn't going to save you. It will just help you distribute your terrible idea much faster and much cheaper.
Precisely. The AI is an amplifier. It takes whatever signal you provide and blasts it across the digital landscape with terrifying efficiency. But the human must provide the signal.
The signal has to be real.
The people who win in the next decade will not be the people who are the fastest at operating the software. The winners will be the sociologists, the psychologists, the visionaries who deeply understand human nature and complete the autonomous agents at the right problems.
The execution bottleneck is gone. The new bottleneck is human vision. Wow. Okay, we have covered an immense amount of ground today, and I want to just synthesize the mechanics of what we've discussed for you, the listener. We started by breaking down the operator shift.
Moving from chatbots to autonomous operator.
Right, how vision language models are allowing agents to literally see our screens, parse the UI dynamically, and overcome context, anxiety, and self-evaluation loops to execute complex tasks autonomously.
We then looked at how that shift destroys the need for rigid UI, ushering in the vibe economy. We examined the reality that generating software instantly via natural language creates massive structural security flaws.
Like pervasive SQL injections, as LLMs prioritize visual probability over defensive architecture, which led directly to the collapse of the agentic control plane.
The massive security crisis of agentic identity.
Exactly. The realization that traditional zero trust and MFA are completely bypassed by autonomous agents relying on persistent session tokens, opening the door for devastating upstream supply chain attacks like the LitLM exploit.
Which perfectly contextualizes the macroeconomic battlefield. Apple's calculated pivot to deprecate the Mac Pro and launch Apple Business.
Attempting to use the hardware-level security of the secure enclave as the ultimate wedge to steal enterprise market share from Microsoft and Google in an era where trust is the only moat.
And finally, we grounded it all in the reality of the AI CMO executing growth for under $10 a lead.
The understanding that while autonomous loops will commoditize execution and drive acquisition costs to the floor, they elevate true human product intuition, our empathy, and our understanding of the why as the ultimate differentiator in the market.
It was a profound structural realignment of how value is created and protected.
If you are listening to this, you now hold the ultimate shortcut to understanding the agentic era. You possess insights that put you miles ahead of anyone still thinking of AI as just a text generator. You aren't just looking at the surface of the chatbot anymore. You see the gears turning underneath.
You possess the architectural insights to navigate what comes next. But before we go, I want to leave you with a final lingering question to ponder on your own that builds on our discussion today.
What's that?
We've established that AI is now executing complex strategies instantaneously. We know that trust is the last remaining competitive moat in an insecure environment. And we know that AI is getting exceptionally good at probabilistically generating and mimicking our aesthetic vibes.
Right.
So consider this. If AI is now executing complex strategies instantaneously, and trust is the last remaining competitive moat, what happens when our agents become so good at mimicking our vibes that we can no longer tell the difference between human intuition and an automated growth strategy?
Oh, wow.
In a world where flawless digital execution costs almost nothing, and AI can seamlessly simulate our tone and empathy, Does raw, unpolished human authenticity become the ultimate luxury good?
That is a question that is going to fundamentally redefine how we connect with each other. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us today.